What's going on, guys? Wind Model here. It's a Tuesday night, and I don't know if any of you gun guys ever you're just sitting around, maybe watching some hockey like I am, or watching anything for that matter, hanging out with the dogs here, and you just get to thinking of, if you're fortunate enough to have several guns. There's Stevie. Say, Steve, chilling out. If you're fortunate enough to have, even more than a handful or two of guns, you sit around thinking, man, that gun is just cool. I just love that gun. And I'd love to just get it out and look at it. Maybe think of the story of the gun, the history of the gun, right, Bug? Hi, Steve. So you like guns too? Yeah, so we shoot them all the time, huh? But you ever think, man, this gun I have is really neat? It's cool just to look at it, not even shoot it. Just to look at it, man, to just think of how it was made, think of when it was made, the technology, the resources, the tooling, the machines they had, etc., when, these guns were made. And obviously I'm speaking of classic guns, your antiques, your classics, your vintage, your throwbacks, whatever you want to label them as, milsurps. Today, I brought you the good book. I want to talk to you, friends, about the New English Dictionary. No, I don't. But before I get into this, I know you've seen Georgia on a couple of my videos, and 2 weeks ago, actually yesterday, she gave me, and the rest of us that know her, I've been a part of her life. Turn the light on for you. She gave us a pretty serious scare. Turned out to be a very hefty vet bill when it was all said and done. When we first got her back in 2014, she was born in November of 2013. We picked her up I think the end of February of 2014. We got her. Yeah, we did, old girl. I'm telling the story how you're still here. So when we first got her, we planned to try to find a male American Bulldog to breed with her, just to have one litter of pups, so that she could carry on, so we could carry on her, her bloodline. And unfortunately, the area I live in, we just could not find a suitor. We tried an Old English that just was not compatible. So, long story short, we never got her spayed. And last November, she turned 11. So she's about 11 and a half now, and she was still not spayed. And that is my fault. All of what happened to her 2 weeks ago could have been prevented if I would have just spayed her. I didn't really do it to be, purposely or blatantly ignorant. I just, when she turned 5, 6-ish, 7, we kind of just gave up on the breeding thing. And we just, life just, different things happen. So I never got her spayed. Like I said, it wasn't nothing intentionally or on purpose, but she was never spayed. So last 2 Mondays ago, I guess it would have been what, the 31st. The last 2 weeks of March, she had her last heat cycle, which was very hard on her. And then after her heat cycle ended, some things started happening to her that I'd never seen from her. Some very dark red discharge, like almost black looking blood. Just very lethargic, very tired, panting, gums pretty pale. Her eyes were red. I could not take her temperature because, she's not like really people messing with her feet. And obviously, sticking a thermometer up her ass to get her temperature is nearly impossible. I mean, she's about a 100-pound dog. She was about 115 at her most. She's a little under 100 pounds now, but 100-pound dog. Not taking her temperature, but anyway, I could tell she had a fever. So I let go a couple days, just to see if maybe it was part of her heat cycle dragging out, and she just kept losing appetite and just would not stop drinking. And then her stomach bloated severely. About a week after everything started. Then for about 2 days, she kind of pepped back up. And I thought maybe it was something she ate something working its way through her system. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So I think it was the 30th or the 31st of March. Yeah, the 31st would have been Monday. So like the 29th and 30th, that Saturday and Sunday of March, she was extremely bad. She started vomiting, just like clear fluids. She couldn't keep it in. All she would eat was like her soft snacks. She wouldn't even eat wet food. Lots of drinking. So uncomfortable. She just could not find a comfortable place to lay. So Sunday night, I thought she was gonna die, and while I'm not poor, I'm also not made of money, and the only option was an emergency vet, which would have been thousands and thousands of dollars. So, against my better judgment, I stayed up with her all night, Sunday night on the 30th. And I started talking to her, telling her how great of a dog she's been and thank you for the years. If she wanted to go, she could go, and I would completely understand. And I told her, if she could hang on till morning, we could get her to her normal vet, which will be a little bit more affordable. And I know money shouldn't be an issue, because dogs are like, if you are with dogs like I am, they're a part of your family. They're like your kid. I know money shouldn't be an option, but I just did not have it. I did not have multiple thousands of dollars to spend on an emergency vet. So I stayed up with her Sunday night. Didn't get any sleep myself. I'm just thinking of all the times together. And Monday morning, the 31st of March, she was extremely bad. I did not know it then. I knew she had lost a lot of weight. But she went from about 97 pounds down to about, when we got her to the vet Monday, fast forwarding a little bit, she had lost about 12 pounds. And the Monday morning of the 31st, she was pretty much unable to move. And she was just shivering and panting and vomiting. So I left a message Sunday night at my vet. They called me right away in the morning Monday, and she got in the Jeep, rode up front like she always does, and we headed to the vet. We got her in there right away. I paid the urgency fee, and old doc came in, and surprisingly, she had a very, very slight fever. But they did not. She vomited in there. They did not like that, obviously. He pressed around on her stomach, and by that time, her stomach literally, I mean, show your belly. You can see her belly. She's a big dog, but like her gut was, her gut was up here, and it was hanging. It was like hanging way down here. It looked like a legit basketball. So we get in there, and he's, feeling around, and she's in some pain back here. So he did blood work, and then we had to pretty much like rodeo bull rope her up onto the table to get x-rays. Her heart was like 105 beats a minute, which for an older dog, it's going to be high, even when they sleep. Like 60 to 100 is the normal beats per minute, even resting heart rate for a dog. Anything over 100 is a cause for concern. But even when she was in deep sleeps, it was over 100, which is a sign of pain or anxiety or infection. So they did all the imaging and the blood work. Her white cells were super high. She was anemic. And then the x-rays, he pretty much told me, he said it's either a tumor, and the bloating is blood and or, fluid, or it's a pyometra, which a pyometra is an infection in the uterus. There's a closed and an open. An open, they bleed, they leak, discharge. A closed, it does not drain, it does not leak, so all of it builds up inside of them. And he said there's a very good chance this dog will not see home again, Mark. Before the x-rays, obviously. So, whole time I was just, contemplating. He asked me if I had the funds for everything. I said, yeah. So they did all the tests that come back, and she had a pyometra. She had a closed pyometra, which obviously I said is the infection of the uterus. So he said, before we do anything, I want to, get a liver function test, a kidney function test, her heart function to see, how her organs are being older. If he thinks, for one, it's worth the surgery for an 11.5-year-old dog, and two, if he thinks she's healthy enough to make it through the surgery, with the anesthesia and all that. And I left her. I had to go. I knew she was in good hands. I have some girls that I went to school with that work there, and some family friends, or friends of family members that work there as well. So my sister actually worked there for a few months years ago. So I knew she was in good hands. Knew you were. So I left there. It was like within the hour I was gone, they did the surgery. And I left there not knowing what her function tests were. And he said he would call me to let me know, if they're going to do the surgery or not. So I left, gave her a kiss and a hug, told her I loved her and everything. And, I put my faith in them. And on my way home, my phone rang and my heart kind of sunk. But here it was just a nurse double checking to see if she had had any medications prior, and I said no. And then she said, well, her heart, her liver, and her kidneys and all that look good, so we're going to take her into surgery. And they asked if I had the funds for that, and I said yes. I had a couple people helping me out too, who said they would help me. I just pay him back when I can. So she ended up having a pyometra surgery. It was about 45 minutes to an hour surgery, and you can see she has a. You okay? I'm just showing him your scar. You see, there's a scar. It's about from here to here. Oh no, you're okay. The back end's just healing a little bit, but about a 4-inch cut, say. And it was crazy. She made it through it. They kept her. That was in the morning right away, and she did not come home till that evening. So they kept her about 11, 12 hours just to monitor her, make sure her anesthesia worked off in the right way, make sure her heart was all right and her breathing. All her blood cell counts were within range again. She's still a little anemic, and she does have some arthritis here in her back. But they said we can get her on some medication for the rest of her years. But so you made it through. I don't know how, old girl. You're one tough son of a bitch. Yes, you are. You're a tough girl. So we didn't know if we'd be making any more Jeep rides, huh? Yeah, we didn't. I didn't know if you'd ever come home again. Yeah, so your gums are nice and pink now. You have your appetite back for the most part. Still picky, but say they did a free ear clean on you. Did a free toenail trim. The crazy part is it turned out that she went from about 98 pounds to about, she's like 83 pounds right now. 84, so she lost 15, 16 pounds. And come to find out, they told me after I picked her up to bring her home that night, the uterus and her other reproductive organs that they took out. All pyometra is a spay, but it's different and more risky because it is a severe infection. Now, what saved Georgia is the doctor said her pyometra, her infection was confined to her uterus. They say sometimes it can spread outside. It can go to the stomach, the liver, the kidneys, intestines. But hers was confined to her uterus, which saved her. But it is so much more painful on a dog because you have all that weight coming this way and hanging down to where you can't sleep. It's impossible to get comfortable. And when they took it out, they put it right into a bucket, the infected uterus and everything, and it weighed 12 pounds. And it was bigger than a basketball. So you just imagine slightly larger ball than a basketball and about 12 pounds worth of just fluid and mass. Yeah, you would be in a lot of pain too. I feel guilty for letting her suffer for a couple days like she did, but I'm so fortunate that she's here. And with some management of your arthritis, girl, I think you got 2-3 more years in you, hopefully more, but just being realistic. It ended up being about $2,200 with everything. With the pills and the surgery and all the x-rays and the anesthesia. But we saved you and you're here. And you are one tough girl. Say hi to the YouTubes, Georgia. Yeah. I see your dirty nose. I see your dirty nose. But that's the story on how we saved Georgia. More Jeep rides in order. And she's still here. She's hanging out here watching hockey. And now we get to this. The English dictionary. No. This is a $15 lockbox, disguise box that you can get off of eBay. And comes with 2 keys. You put a piece of tape on there and hide your key, or secure your key. Obviously other options too. I'll fix that then. But this is the lockbox. And inside of it, we got a moisture eating desodorant and some packs. Yep, some packs of BioDry. Case of Armscore 22. And the main attraction. Bear with or without. Let it off. We'll turn it on for now. This is my loaded, by the way. You can see it is loaded. This gun always stays loaded. I did a video on this about 2 years ago. This is my 1953 H&R Harrington & Richardson model 922. Original 4-inch gun. It looked like this from factory when it was made in 1953. Korean War era. It has the mica, butterscotch, plastic, whatever. Yeah, I don't even know exactly the description of these grips. But the original H&R 9-shot 22. Shoots 22 long, shorts, and long rifles. Just a grooved rear and a fixed front post, or the ramped fixed front post. Has some wear to it, a little bit of surface rust. Crown has a little wear. Other than that, the gun is in very good condition, and it stays in this box inside a cabinet in a room that in an area of the house that nobody really knows. Yeah, it's got a little bit of surface rust there on the hammer. I will get after that, or I might just leave it go, hit it with some steel wool and put some oil on it. This is a character gun. You do not see many of them like this, and I believe Joe Morgan. Check out Joe Morgan's channel if you haven't already. I believe Joe Morgan has one of these, or had one of these. And it's, if I remember correctly, it's one of his favorite guns. And I remember him commenting on that video of this when I did it. Just an awesome, awesome gun. Very accurate, very dependable. These guns were stopped. They stopped producing these in the early 80s, mid 80s. Of course, H&R is no longer around. That's a shame, because one of the greatest manufacturers of firearms ever in the U.S. But it's just one of those guns that you just like to admire. Like I said, 1953. And yeah, sometimes you just like to take a gun out and admire it. Now, these guns, you do have to pull the pin. It does not have a loading gate, so you got to pull the pin, take the cylinder out every time you want to load it and unload it. But there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Get you familiar with your gun, more comfortable. But yeah, just wanted to come out here. Mostly a story about Georgia, but I figured I'd throw a little gun related content in there for you. But yeah, I might do a shooting video on this here. I haven't shot it in a while. This is my stash away gun in a room where you never know, you might need it. match there with a box of ammo and nine in the cylinder ready to roll. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant, not a rant, little story on Georgia and how she's still here. Say, you're still here, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Ready for more Jeep rides soon. But hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has a good week. It was my niece's softball game tonight. She had another pretty good game. She's growing up right before our eyes, so hope everybody's doing well. Have a good week. And for Stevie in Georgia, in the English dictionary, and the H&R 922, this is Winmono 88 saying so long, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good week. Bye bye.